The Lemons decided to throw a party for Apollyon to welcome her to House Lemon. They told her all about their homeworld and how they hoped to get back to it soon. Things were going splendidly until Maya waved at Apollyon, and that was it. Eventually, Sir Hugh arrived with his submachine gun to break up the fight. Apollyon would be spending the next few days in a prison cell to think about what she'd done. And just like that, things went back to normal around the Lemon camp. But it wasn't long before some dusty drifters arrived, asking to stay with them. Of course, the Lemons said yes. The drifters did their best to help out in the farm and around the camp. The drifters had arrived in time to see Elodie and Hugh get married. Though Elodie would have much preferred to have gotten married back at her ancestral castle, this was the best they could manage at the moment. Maya had his reservations about the marriage as well, but privately, he thought they might not be able to get home, despite all their efforts. The old man could tell that the two youngsters really were in love, though. After exchanging their vows, the ceremony was concluded. Hugh swore once again that he would always protect Elodie, and that he would get them all back home. One of the drifters asked to stay with the Lemon Party, and the Lemons agreed. Things were quiet for a while, but it wasn't too long before disaster nearly struck. One of the wandering bisons had gone mad, and it was right next to the princess. Little Elodie ran as fast as her feet could carry her, with their mega sloth hot in pursuit. Fortunately, her grandfather had been out hunting in the field, and he was able to drop the bison with several well-placed shots. Elodie was safe, but it had been a near thing. That illusion of safety would be tested again when a raid appeared. Two small groups of raiders coming in from separate directions. At least they were both attacking the one side of the base. The Lemons tried to fall back from the outer perimeter and set up some traps. There were still more raiders, however, and now they were right on top of the Lemons. Bullets streaked back and forth across the animal pen, and many goats and donkeys were hit. The Lemons themselves were beginning to take more and more damage. With the raiders finally chased off, the group merely had to put out the fires they'd started, which Elodie was able to do with her new psychic powers. Our heroes had taken a few wounds, but the brunt of the damage was taken by their animals. Elodie asked Maya and Hugh to do something to make sure they never had to fight like that again. Finally, Apollyon had joined the Lemons once more. With his marriage to Elodie complete, Hugh took on greater responsibilities and accepted the leadership role of the group, although really everyone still looked to the old grandfather for wisdom and advice. Not long after, and to no one's great surprise, Elodie made the announcement that she was pregnant. Kumbaro waved goodbye to his old friend Kasku, who wanted to continue his drifting. As the days passed, the new recruits began to assimilate more into the Lemon way of doing things. Another party was held, and despite the recent attacks, everyone was in very good spirits. Elodie reminded those present that their mission was still to reach the spaceship on the other side of the Rimworld so that they could return home. Before that, though, it was important to make sure they got through this party without anyone throwing fists. With the party concluded successfully and safely, they returned to old business, and accepted a new quest. A child had contacted the lemons and needed their help. The specifics weren't important. Now the lemons had a child to care for, and they could look forward to a week of foggy rain. Elodie was convinced that they needed to expand their base a little bit more to accommodate the new people. This also included some minor security upgrades. The lemons were offered and accepted yet another quest to mess with the local weather. Clearly things are very different here on the Rimworld. It had been a while since anyone had gotten sick, so now essentially everyone got sick. The recent upgrades to the base had included a more suitable medical facility. A trader from the Empire, who had been loitering outside the walls, alerted the lemons to a group of murderous monkeys nearby. The lemons figured they were safe behind their new walls, but no one was looking after the little kid. Due to some negligent supervision, Itamu had wandered quite far from the base and had been the first to stumble across the monkeys. The lemons knew they had to hurry out and save them, but Elodie was pregnant and had malaria. Apolyov also had malaria and plenty of old gunshots, and Kambaro, malaria, gunshots, and asthma. Despite being definitely not at their best, the lemons sallied forth with their new guns. Then they decided to let the Imperials handle the monkeys, while they slipped around the other way. The lemons were able to rescue little Itamu and bring them back to the medical bay. They'd taken a lot of blood loss and damage, but they should live. With Itamu still among the living, the lemons held another Christmas on the Rimworld. They had decent guns now, but still no armor, and their base defenses were sorely lacking despite the recent upgrades. They tried to put such things from their mind for the moment and enjoy the day of celebration. Unfortunately, they would not have long before the defenses were tested once again. The lemons' power grid was knocked out by a solar flare, and the thick fog made it hard to see past the end of your nose. And under the cover of the fog, the raiders came. Though the lemons had been planning to construct a wall around the outside of the animal pen, they had not yet done so. The fog made it difficult to line up good shots. Despite the wall of fire, the raiders got very close. The lemons were outnumbered and nearly surrounded. Things devolved into brutal hand-to-hand fighting, and Elodie used more of her psychic powers to try to send the raiders far away. Apolyov and Hugh were taking a beating, as was the lemons' loyal Mega Sloth. It had been the hardest fight yet, and they couldn't even say they'd all walked away from it, but at least the lemons were all still alive. Without even discussing it, the lemons knew they wouldn't survive the next raid unless they did something about their base defenses.